Okay, this is the Motion Tween assignment, and in Canvas you'll find it right here. So what you want to do is you're going to download the car icon, and you can tell it where to save specifically, or you can go put it in your downloads. Either way, just download it, don't try and open it. Okay? Then you come to Flash. We're going to choose ActionScript 3.0, and there's those. Then we're going to go File, Import, Import to Library. And then I'm going to go to Downloads. You go wherever you saved the car. And I just imported it into the library, which means it's not actually on the stage yet. You have to come over here to this tab called Library. And you'll see car icon, and there it shows you what it looks like. And you just click and drag the word out here. Okay, then we're going to resize the car. So remember, if you hold down Shift, it keeps it proportionate. So I'm going to make it kind of small and put it up in the top corner. And I'll go back to just my regular selection tool. Now we're going to animate this, but if we're going to animate something, it actually has to be turned into a symbol. So in order to control what happens with our symbol, we're going to go to Modify and Convert to Symbol. Then you can go ahead and you can name it Car. And I'm going to switch it from Movie Clip to Graphic. And then this is called the registration point. It's kind of the point where the car will turn from, so I'm actually going to set it to, we'll try it here. Okay, so that bottom one. And then you just click OK. And you can see there's the registration point right there. So now you double click on the layer and name it Car. And then if you look, there's a keyframe. Right there. That black dot means there is content on this layer. So I'm going to right click on frame 1 on the car layer, and I'm going to create a motion tween. And when I do that, it automatically gave me 24 frames because that's how many frames per second this particular assignment is set at. So if we look at our properties of our stage, click on the stage itself, frames, 24. So that's why I did 24 by default. If you don't tell it how many. If I didn't inserted a keyframe on my own, then it would do the whole thing. But this only did 24. Okay? So I want to make sure I'm on frame 24, and I'm just going to take my move tool, and I'm going to move my car to the other side of the screen. So I've got all these little dots. Remember that if you hover over it, after I moved the car, I can then curve my path. So just make sure that you curve it somehow, because that's in the rubric to have it curved. You'll see the closer the dots are, so the fact that these are all bundled together here means it's going to be slower and then it's going to speed up. So if I press enter, it's slow and then it speeds up. So if you want it to go the other way, you could do it this way. Wherever the dots are, that's slower. Spread out means faster. Next thing you'll do is you'll just click on the car itself. And when you click on the car itself, you'll see you have color effect. And there it says style. We're going to mess with alpha first. So alpha is how see-through the car is. So let's say I drag it down to around 50%. You can see that now it's kind of become a ghost car. And if I press enter, it goes from solid to somewhat faded. Then you're going to go to tint. And there's this box. It doesn't matter what color you make your car, just make sure that it is something very different from the original so it's easy for me to see that you changed it. Okay? It also has a percentage, so 100% means no details, so you don't want that. If you go too low, of course, then there's no color. So 50, 60, around there's good. I want to still be able to see the tires and the windows and all of that. Okay? Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on the timeline itself, any of these frames. When I do that, it brings up the Motion Tween settings, and the first thing is ease. If I bring it up, ease out means that when I press enter, it starts out faster and then it slows down on the out, as in at the end. So it starts a little faster, slows down. If I use it the other way and go into negative numbers, it does what's called ease in, meaning it starts slow and then it speeds up. So the car spends a little more time at the top than it does at the bottom because it's easing in. The next thing is rotate. Don't do too many of these, otherwise it'll crash your flash. But if I press like 5 and then I do enter, and then watch my animation, it has to flip 5 times before it can, before the end. You can also choose to make it go counterclockwise or clockwise. So mess with that, but in the end set it back to 0 because we don't want it to rotate. Then the last thing with this particular part is we're going to check what's called Orient to Path. What that does, it makes it so the car actually kind of moves with the path. You see how it stays, and it points the direction. Because our registration point is in the bottom corner is kind of what it rotates off of. So for my animation, that doesn't work. It doesn't look good at all. It looks awful. So if yours doesn't look good, then you make sure, once again, click in the frames, and I'm going to uncheck Orient to Path. And then you see as it drives, my car doesn't actually turn. It doesn't rotate at all. So sometimes the Orient to Path is useful, sometimes it's not. The last thing we're going to do now is make sure you're on frame 24. You're going to come to this free transform tool, and remember, if you hold down shift, it makes it change proportionately. I'm going to make my car bigger. That way when I press enter, it goes small and it gets larger. Okay, so just to be sure, make sure car moves from one side of the stage to the other, path is curved, color was changed, size changed, it eases in or ease out. It's okay, you can do either. The car oriented to path, pretty much make your car look as though it's driving on the line. So if Orient to Path was a good choice, then orient it to path. If it looked bad, then don't. And then we changed the car so it doesn't rotate off of the center. We did that when we turned it into a symbol. Okay, so all that looks good. So last thing you'll do is you're going to go File, go to Publish Settings. And Flash is good. We don't need the HTML wrapper. You want to make sure that you name it something. So Motion Tween .swift. Make sure you browse to go tell it where it's going to go. Motion Tween, save. And then you want to make sure to hit publish. And then OK. So last thing I'll do is just bring up my folder. You'll see right there, that's the file you're looking for. And there you go. You just watch it go over and over and over. This is the file. This right here is the file you'll turn in on Canvas. And once you've done that, you are done.